Lod is a mixed Jewish-Arab city 15 kilometers southeast of Tel Aviv in the Center District of Israel. At the end of 2012, it had a population of 71,060. The name is derived from the biblical city of Lod, and it was a significant Judean town from the Maccabean period to the early Christian period. By modern times the city had only retained a very small Jewish community, who were forced to leave by the 1921 Arab riots. During the 1948 Arab-Israeli War, most of the city's Arab inhabitants were expelled in the 1948 Palestinian exodus from Lydda and Ramla. The town was resettled by Jewish immigrants, most of them refugees from Arab countries, alongside 1,056 Arabs who remained. Israel's main international airport, Ben Gurion International Airport, is located on the outskirts of the city. Etymology: the Hebrew name Lod appears in the Bible as a town of Benjamin, founded by Shem or Shema. In the New Testament, it appears as its Greek form, Lydda. The city also finds reference in an Islamic hadith as the location of the battlefield where Dajjal will be slain before the Day of Judgment. History: Canaanite period pottery finds have dated the city's initial settlement to 5600–5250 BC. The earliest written record is in a list of Canaanite towns drawn up by the Egyptian pharaoh Thutmose III at Karnak in 1465 BC. Jewish period from the 5th century BC until the Roman conquest in 70 AD. The city was a Jewish city, and a well-known center of Jewish scholars and merchants. According to Martin Gilbert, during the Hasmonean period, Jonathan Maccabee and his brother Simon Maccabeus enlarged the area under Jewish control, which included conquering the city. The city is mentioned several times in the Bible. In Ezra chapter 2 verse 33, it is mentioned as one of the cities whose inhabitants returned after the Babylonian captivity, and in the New Testament, it is the site of Peter's healing of a paralytic man in Acts chapter 9 verses 32–38. In 43 BC, Cassius, the Roman governor of Syria, sold the inhabitants of Lod into slavery, but they were set free 2 years later by Mark Antony. During the First Jewish-Roman War, the Roman proconsul of Syria, Cestius Gallus, razed the town on his way to Jerusalem in 66 AD. It was occupied by Emperor Vespasian in 68 AD. During the Kitos War 115–117 AD, the Roman army laid siege to Lod, then called Lydda, where the rebel Jews had gathered under the leadership of Julian and Pappos. The distress became so great, the Patriarch Rabban Gamaliel II, who was shut up there and died soon afterwards, permitted fasting even on Hanukkah. Other rabbis condemned this measure. Lydda was next taken and many of the Jews were executed. The slain of Lydda are often mentioned in words of reverential praise in the Talmud. In Jewish classical writings, the slain of Lydda specifically refers to 2 Jewish brothers with Hellenized names, Julian and Pappos, who willingly made themselves martyrs to save the entire Jewish population of Lydda from annihilation. Their real names were Shammai and Ahiah. According to ancient Jewish accounts, when Lucius Quietus of Lycia was appointed Roman governor of Judea by Trajan, a certain Gentile child had been found slain in the city of Lydda. The blame for the child's murder was laid upon the Jews of that city. The said governor intervened by threatening to kill all the Jews of the city, unless the perpetrator of the vile act would deliver himself up to be punished. When no one could be found to take responsibility for the act and the governor was insistent on punishing all the Jews, Lulianos and Pappos, being holy righteous men, voluntarily gave themselves up to be punished, to save innocent Jewish lives. A dialogue soon developed between the 2 Jewish men and the Roman governor, Lucius Quietus. The governor had affronted their God by saying to them, "If you are of the people of Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, whom God delivered from the fiery furnace, "Let your God come and deliver you from my hand." They replied, "Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah were wholly righteous and were worthy that a miracle be performed unto them. And Nebuchadnezzar was also a right king and one worthy of having a miracle be performed on his account. However, as for that wicked man, he is merely a commoner and is not worthy of having a miracle performed on his account, while we are they who have acted wrongly and made ourselves liable to death before God. And if you do not kill us, there are many other ways in which we might be killed. God has many bears and many lions that could meet up with us and kill us. Moreover, the Holy One, blessed be He, has not delivered us into your hand, except that our blood might be avenged of you in the future." Forthwith, the governor had them executed. The aforementioned event is said to have happened on the 12th day of the lunar month Adar, when Hadrian was then Roman emperor. The emperor, anxious to remove Lucius Quietus from his post as governor, had sent 2 Roman legates with orders to relieve him of his duties. When they arrived in Lydda that same day, Lucius was still standing in the place where he had ordered their execution. Being sensible of what had happened, and with Caesar's orders in their hands to have him removed, they took up wooden clubs and clubbed him on his head, causing him severe brain damage, until he died. The sages of Israel decided to recognize that day, the 12th of Adar, as a religious holiday, owing to the deliverance which came to the Jews of Lydda on that day. The day was transcribed in the scroll of fasting as a day of celebration, mentioned under the name of the Day of Trajan. The scroll of fasting is a rabbinic document outlining in Jewish law those calendar days in which it was forbidden to fast, or, in some cases, forbidden to mourn. The holiday, however, was soon cancelled, since the day also marked the death of these 2 righteous men. There are those who say that these things happened, not in Lydda of Judea, but in Laodicea of Syria. Roman period in 200 AD, Emperor Septimius Severus elevated the town to the status of a city, calling it Colonia Lucia Septimius Evera Diospolis. The name Diospolis may have been bestowed earlier, possibly by Hadrian. At that point, most of its inhabitants were Christian. The earliest known bishop is Aetius, a friend of Arius. In December 415, the Council of Diospolis was held here to try Pelagius. He was acquitted. In the 6th century, the city was renamed Georgiopolis after St. George, a soldier in the guard of the Emperor Diocletian, who was born there between 256 and 285 AD. The Church of St. George is named for him. Arab period after the Muslim conquest of Judea by Amr ibn al, as in 636 AD. Lod, which was referred to as al-Lud in Arabic, served as the capital of Jumd Philistin before the seat of power was moved to nearby Ramla during the reign of the Umayyad Caliph Sulayman ibn Abd al-Malik in 715 to 716. The population of al-Lud was relocated to Ramla, as well. With the relocation of its inhabitants and the construction of the White Mosque in Ramla, al-Lud lost its importance and fell into decay. The city was visited by the local Arab geographer al-Muqaddasi in 985, when it was under the Fatimid Caliphate, and was noted for its great mosque which served the residents of al-Lud, Ramla, and the nearby villages. He also wrote of the city's wonderful church at the gate of which Christ will slay the Antichrist. Crusader in Umayyad period. The Crusaders occupied the city in 1099 and named its street George de Lydda. It was briefly conquered by Saladin, but retaken by the Crusaders in 1191. The Crusaders built a cathedral, currently changed to become the Great Mosque of Ramla, one of Israel's best preserved Crusader churches. For the English Crusaders, it was a place of great significance as the birthplace of St. George. The Crusaders made it the seat of a Latin Rite diocese, and it remains a titular see. According to the Jewish traveller Benjamin of Tudela, one Jewish family was living there in 1170. In 1226, Syrian geographer Yaqut al-Hamawi visited al-Lud and stated it was part of the Jerusalem district during Ayyubid rule. Ottoman era, the missionary drive. William M. Thomson visited Lydda in the mid-19th century, describing it as a flourishing village of some 2,000 inhabitants, embosomed in noble orchards of olive, fig, pomegranate, mulberry, sycamore, and other trees, surrounded every way by a very fertile neighborhood. The inhabitants are evidently industrious and thriving, and the whole country between this and Ramla is fast being filled up with their flourishing orchards. Rarely have I beheld a rural scene more delightful than this presented in early harvest. It must be seen, heard, and enjoyed to be appreciated. In 1870, under the rule of the Ottoman Empire, the Church of St. George was rebuilt. In 1892, the first railway station in the entire region was established in the city. In the second half of the 19th century, Jewish merchants migrated to the city, but left after the 1921 Jaffa riots. British Mandate era. From 1918, Lydda was under the administration of the British Mandate in Palestine, as per a League of Nations decree that followed the Great War. During the Second World War, the British set up supply posts in and around Lydda and its railway station, also building an airport that was renamed Ben Gurion Airport after the establishment of Israel. Until 1948, Lydda was an Arab town with a population of around 20,000, 18,500 Muslims and 1,500 Christians. In 1947, the United Nations proposed dividing Palestine into two states, one Jewish state, one Arab. Lydda was to form part of the proposed Arab state. Several Arab states attacked, and in the ensuing war, Israel captured Arab towns outside the area the UN had allotted it, including Lydda. The Israel Defense Forces entered Lydda on the 11th of July 1948. The following day, under the impression that it was under attack, the 3rd Battalion was ordered to shoot anyone seen on the streets. According to Israel, 250 Arabs were killed. Other estimates are higher. Arab historian Aref al-Aref estimated 400, and Naim al-Khatib 1,700. State of Israel. During 1948, the population rose to 50,000 people as Arab refugees fleeing other areas made their way there. All but 700 to 1,056 were expelled by order of the Israeli High Command, and forced to walk 17 kilometers to the Jordanian Arab Legion lines. Estimates of those who died from exhaustion and dehydration vary from a handful to 355. The town was subsequently sacked by the Israeli army. A disputed claim, advanced by scholars including Ilan Pappé, characterizes this as ethnic cleansing. The few hundred Arabs who remained in the city were not permitted to live in their own homes. They were soon outnumbered by the influx of Jewish refugees who moved into the town from August 1948 onwards, most of them refugees from Arab countries, as a result of which Lydda became a predominantly Jewish town. The Jewish refugees came in waves, first from Morocco and Tunisia, and later from Ethiopia and the then Soviet Union. The city continues to influence the work of Israeli artists and thinkers, such as Dorges's 2009 exhibit Giorgio Polish at the Petach Tikva Art Museum. According to The Economist, a 3-meter-high wall was erected in 2010 to separate Jewish and Arab neighborhoods, and limits have been imposed on Arab building, whereas construction in the Jewish areas is promoted. Some municipal services, such as street lighting and rubbish collection, are only provided to Jewish areas. Violent crime in the Arab neighborhoods of Lod is largely directed at other Arabs and revolves around family feuds over turf and honor crimes. Although the city has been plagued by a poor image for decades, dozens of projects are underway to improve life in the city. New upscale neighborhoods are expanding the city to the east, among them Ganiyaar and Ahisma. In 2010, the Lod Community Foundation organized an event for representatives of bicultural youth movements, volunteer aid organizations, educational startups, businessmen, sports organizations, and conservationists who are working on programs to better the city. Demographics. In 2003, an Israeli government report outlined Lod's social and demographic problems. The report noted a high rate of drug use and crime, a large number of poor and social service cases, and cramped and substandard living conditions among the city's Arab population. According to the Israel Central Bureau of Statistics, the population of Lod in 2010 was 69.5 thousand people. Education. According to CBS, 38 schools and 13,188 pupils are in the city. They are spread out as 26 elementary schools and 8,325 elementary school pupils, and 13 high schools and 4,863 high school pupils. About 52.5% of 12th grade pupils were entitled to a matriculation certificate in 2001. Economy. The airport and related industries are a major source of employment for the residents of Lod. A Jewish agency absorption center is also located in Lod. According to CBS figures for 2000, 23,032 people were salaried workers and 1,405 were self-employed. The mean monthly wage for a salaried worker was Nis 4,754, a real change of 2.9% over the course of 2000. Salaried men had a mean monthly wage of Nis 5,821 versus Nis 3,547 for women. The mean income for the self-employed was Nis 4,991. About 1,275 people were receiving unemployment benefits and 7,145 were receiving an income supplement. Archaeology. A well-preserved mosaic floor dating to the Roman period was excavated in 1996 as a part of a salvage dig conducted on behalf of the Israel Antiquities Authority and the municipality of Lod, prior to widening Hehelutz Street. According to Jacob Fish, executive director of the Friends of the Israel Antiquities Authority, a worker at the construction site noticed the tail of a tiger and halted work. The mosaic was initially covered over with soil at the conclusion of the excavation for lack of funds to conserve and develop the site. The mosaic is now part of the Lod Mosaic Archaeological Center. The Lod Community Archaeology Program, which operates in 10 Lod schools, 5 Jewish and 5 Israeli Arab, combines archaeological studies with participation in digs in Lod. Sports. The city's a major football club, Hapoel Bnei Lod, plays in Liga Laumit. Its home is at the Lod Municipal Stadium. The club was formed by a merger of Bnei Lod and Rekivat Lod in the 1980s. Two other clubs in the city play in the regional leagues. Hapoel MS Orthodoxim Lod in Liga Bet and Maccabi Lod in Liga Gimel. Hapoel Lod played in the top division during the 1960s and 1980s, and won the State Cup in 1984. The club folded in 2002. A new club, Hapoel Maxim Lod, was established soon after, but folded in 2007. Notable residents. Dam, a hip-hop group. George Habash, founder of the Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine. Tamer Nafer, rapper. Salam Tuama, footballer. Rabbi Akiva, Talmud sage. Oshra Cohen, actor. Eliezer ben Hyrcanus, Talmud sage. Joshua ben Hananiah, Talmud sage. Rabban Gamliel, Talmud sage. Rabbi Tarfon, Talmud sage. Jose the Galilean, Talmud sage. Bar Kapara, Talmud sage. Joshua ben Levi, Talmud sage. Rav Huna, Talmud sage. Saint George, patron saint of Beirut, Palestine, England, Russia, and Catalonia. Twin towns, sister cities. Lod is twinned with Piatra Neamt, Romania. Kraljevo, Serbia. Bibliography. Lestrange, Guide, Palestine under the Muslims. A Description of Syria and the Holy Land from AD 650 to 1500. Committee of the Palestine Exploration Fund.